Hello, everyone. We are back with our first State of the Association address after Thanksgiving. So, cool beans. We got that going on. Let me see. Um, I'm not finding anything on here that is pressing as far as events that we have coming up or things like that. The only thing that I'm really seeing is on the 10th. There is a doTERRA event for all the people in the area that we're associated with that do doTERRA and things like that. It's on the 10th at Dayton, the Dayton Community Building, I believe. It's RSVP, so let us know if you're going to want to come to that, if you're interested in coming to that and engaging with the rest of the doTERRA family, I think they call it, or something like that. So we have that going on. We, as the Eden Wellness Alliance, have definitely tried to shy away from events in the December area or the December time period would actually be the better way to say it. The December time period, because you don't get many people that come. So that might be, unless someone requests something, we usually do not do anything that day or that month. Let me see. So we have today, those are all of our events. We're going to be going and looking at Wintertime and Your Body. If you come to this later, or you look at it when we get it posted to our website tomorrow, then you will find the two links that we will be using or the two articles we'll be using to go over today. They're not from accredited sources or stuff like that. Sorry about that. It's from AccuWeather and Huffington Post. But they did bring up something that was good to talk about in this time of year, which is health effects that winter has on your body, or at least that cold weather has on your body. And we'll go ahead and knock out the negative stuff first, okay? So that's the one that you'll find at AccuWeather. I guess the weather people always have to be negative or something. But we have the weather effects on the body in this State of the Association address, AccuWeather.com, link in the doobly-doo in the description. The first one they list is the lack of light and how it starts to affect your sleep cycles and things like that. This is associated with seasonal affective disorder, or SAD, SAD for short. And one of the quotes they use is, "Light directly impacts the pituitary, which secretes melatonin." That's kind of a short little quote, but would have been nice if they'd have given more to that. But it is, like I said, a quick thing. That quote is from the chair of the homeopathy department at Bastyr University School of Naturopathic Medicine, Dr. Brad Lichtenstein. I think that's how it's said. It's naturopathic. He's an ND, or a naturopathic doctor, a naturopath. So basically what that boils down to is melatonin levels need to be, they fluctuate all through your life, but when you're in the wintertime, they get not out of balance, just in sync with the rhythm of it being, you have more sleepiness, basically, to boil it down to something simple. And this lull in that melatonin is what physically affects your body's abilities to do certain things, to regulate sleep, to keep you awake, keep you tired, or something, or whichever one ends up happening. So what you want to do, if you know that that's going to be coming on and you have SAD, maybe try some additional vitamin supplements with D, or make a point when the sun is shining to go out and get that, Go out and stand in the sunshine or do things outside. If you have a good day, what we call a good day, every day is a good day, but what we call a good day, if you have a good, sunshiny, pretty day outside, then use it, especially in the wintertime. Go out and do some things, or even just go out and read a book in the sunshine. Or if you're on the phone, if you're on your cell phone and it's sunshiny outside, then walk outside with your cell phone instead of pacing around in the house. I tend to pace when I talk to people on the phone. But make a point to do that. But that will bring us into the second point that they want to bring up of certain negative effects, cold air. Now, this is going to be something that not everybody's going to agree on. I don't always agree with the articles that I bring to you guys, and this is one point where I probably don't. When air is too cold, let me give you what they say. Sleep quality. When air is too cold, it will negatively affect melatonin production and cause the body's sleep cycle to be disrupted. However, air that is too dry or too warm will dry out the body's mucous membranes and make the body more susceptible to illness such as cold or flu, and so on and so forth. Um, really, what it boils down to is in the cold, your body needs to work and engage more with its immune system. That's normal. That's not a bad thing. And really, your body needs to do that all the time. Your body needs to be engaging all the time with its immune system. And the bigger problem here is not that cold is bad for you, but rather that you not being used to the cold is what causes your body to be upset by it. This goes back to the idea of cold showers, and we talked about, well, we shared a video on it on Facebook before. We will probably do that again on our Facebook page, which, if anybody's interested, is the Eden Wellness Alliance on Facebook. It's just literally our name. So that's definitely something that you want to look at and address. Cold showers, cold things in the natural environment, things that naturally get cold, they're not going to harm your body if you're used to them. And really, you kind of need to get used to them. One of the things that other countries tend to do better than the U.S. does is, for example, in schools, they don't. Some other countries don't really regulate their temperature the same way that America does. We like to keep it warm in the wintertime and cool in the summertime. But there's a wider range of temperature allowances in some other countries, and their immune systems benefit from it because their body gets used to it. You do want to observe things like when they mentioned it being too dry. You can be too dry in the winter or in the summertime. So it doesn't matter what season it is, you can get too dry and your mucous membranes will crack and stuff like that, or your lips will crack. If your lips are cracking in the wintertime, it can be because you're getting out to the cold, dry weather usually. A lot, not usually. But that is not indicative of it. That is not a, hey, 100% you're out in the cold too much. Instead, it reflects more of your body's hydration level. It's not that you're necessarily in the cold weather, it's that your body's not getting enough water, actual water, to improve and maintain its cells up at the surface. It's having to use them inside because it's so dry, and to keep those mucous membranes moist because it's so dry. So my suggestion is, if that starts happening, is instead of resorting to things like chapstick and stuff like that, unless you have to, is to increase your water intake. If we would just increase our water intake, we would solve so many problems for ourselves. We tend not to drink enough water, at least in America. Other countries may have us beat on it, kind of, but not all the time. A lot of people in what we would call first world countries, countries that are well developed, have good exchange um, of supply and demand, and all those things flowing very easily, which America does. We tend to drink things we want to drink and like to drink versus things we actually need to drink, because water is just water, right? Well, not really. And to make it brief, because this is not a discussion on water, um, the only thing that hydrates you, really hydrates you, is water, period. All the things we drink are based off of water. And the trick is your body only treats one thing like water, and that is water. It doesn't treat soda like water. It doesn't treat even lemonade or something like that, or tea like water. It treats those things like soup. It treats lemonade and tea like soup. It treats it like food. Um, there's no, depending on what soda you're drinking, is going to depend on what it treats your body, what your body treats it like, for that one. But again, this is not a study on what you're drinking, but rather what your body is needing, which is more water. Um, those wanting to engage in chat or anything or ask questions, you can do that in the chat section on the YouTube, if you're wanting to do that. I didn't mention that this time yet. So third thing, let's get on with the negative things they listed. Is a change in eating habits, and that's actually very, very true. And it's actually something that your body goes through on a normal basis. So let's look at what they say, and then we'll discuss the normal things that happens with that. And they're mainly talking about sleep cycle and how it's affected, but your eating habits affect everything in your life anyway. So. Summertime brings forth the natural sugars in the form of fruit. Winter contributes hearty, dense carbohydrates to the table. That's not accurate naturally. So that is actually something that we, as a developed species, we as humans, have put into our diet. We have chosen that for our diet, like those sugary things and those, as they put it, hearty, dense carbohydrates. That's fancy word for a lot of baked goods, um, cakes, candies, cookies, brownies. Love me some brownies. But those type of things, those are things that we add to our diet. They're not something that naturally occurs, that our body would naturally have encountered and thus incorporated into our diet just because it's winter. In fact, what's more likely to have been contributed to be incorporated more into your diet is meats in the wintertime. Your body naturally will go up with meats in the wintertime and fatty foods because you're burning that off, which is something that we'll talk about in the good section of cold weather. But kind of sticking with this negative part here, you don't want to do that. If you don't eat a lot of cookies normally, don't eat a lot of cookies now. It's that simple. It's just we tend to have more holidays in the wintertime, probably to keep us happy. We've probably developed that as a species, as kind of a species and a people, to keep ourselves happy during the wintertime. When you have that seasonal affective disorder, it's actually something that everybody kind of goes through a little bit. Your mood changes with the weather, basically, or with the seasons. But it can definitely just start to disrupt things when you start to infuse a lot of hearty, dense carbohydrates, as they put it. I still like how they did that. They didn't just say baked goods or sweets. They had to do it that way. But it's going to affect your hormones. It's going to affect your body's processing system. It's going to affect your digestion for sure. So those are things, if you are going to eat those things, you eat them sparingly. Remember that with health, it's not what you do sometimes that hurts your body. It's what you do all the time. A sometimes cheeseburger isn't going to hurt your body in the long run. But a cheeseburger every day, that's where your body gets hurt, right? Same thing with this. a uh, a bunch of cookies one day isn't going to hurt your body. But if you space out a bunch of cookies over your week, every week, then you're going to end up hurting yourself, and your uh, your insulin levels are not going to like it. You're not going to be very happy, and your digestion won't be very happy either. So those are definitely things to address. Don't stray too far from your normal eating cycle. And if you don't eat a lot, like we just had Thanksgiving, if you don't eat a lot normally, like you just have like small meals through the day, then only on Thanksgiving do you change your habit. Still don't eat a lot. Okay, don't use Thanksgiving as an excuse to then go binge eat all the like 7 plates of something. If you only eat 1 plate of something at a time, a day, or something, or things along that line, and that type of thing will throw your body off. It will. You will not like it. Okay, trying to keep moving. Consequences of sleep deprivation is the next thing they go over, and like I said, this had a lot to do with sleep, but you're there's really, see, with this one, they don't really touch on the fact that most everybody in a developed country, if they've got high tech, they usually have poor sleep patterns. It's just how it is. All of Europe, all of uh, all of America, Canada, anywhere where you can have tech at your fingertips, you usually end up having poorer sleep patterns overall, mind you, overall, not you necessarily personally. And that comes from the fact that if you have it right at your fingertips, you're going to use it. And that screen, when you pop that screen up, it's going to, the light that it gives off is a lux light that's going to be about, oh, it's enough to make your brain wake up, but not enough to keep you awake. It kind of keeps you in that gray zone that your body and brain kind of get in when they're tired but they don't want to get up, stuff like that. Yeah. So you actually need really bright light to give your body a good wake up. Sleep window light usually has thousands of lux, but the lux from your phone, the LUX from your phone, is in the hundreds. The light outside when you go into the sunlight is thousands of lux. But again, if you're just sitting under some fluorescent lights, it's a few hundred lux again. It's not going to give you enough to get your body to say, hey, I'm going to regulate my sleep patterns now. So that's another reason why it's important to get outside, even when it's cloudy. If you get outside, even when it's cloudy, the lux out there is still higher than the lux in the office that you're at. And it will help you manage your sleep patterns better. All right, so that's the negative stuff. That's the negative stuff. Let's get on to the positive things. The positive thing, there are 6 surprising health benefits of cold weather. And again, this is the one from Huffington Post. It's Huffington Post, so unless they're citing their sources, take a few things with a grain of salt, which is what we try to do here on this broadcast. So, as the cold weather comes up, they mention, of course, things like frostbite, seasonal affective disorder, and an increase in heart attacks, which actually comes from there's actual science behind that one, because your blood tends to get thicker during the wintertime. Another reason for drinking enough water. You want to make sure you're doing that. Also, for people that are on clotting medications, this might be something to bring up to your doctor. You might want to discuss with them if you're on clotting medications, like Coumadin or warfarin or things like that. Then you may want to discuss with your doctor about, hey, it's getting to wintertime. Is my dose going to need changed, or things like that? Or can we do a test to see how it's affecting my body? And so on. But a benefit to cold weather, which they do, is cold weather burns calories. And this is something that you will definitely see when you watched the if you watched the cold shower video that was on by that we shared from Art of Manliness, I think it was. It talked about how brown fat is naturally found in your body parts, and so does this one, and that it it helps burn off both types of fat when you trigger brown fat. And so cold naturally stimulates the burning of fat because that's your body's go-to fuel system. Okay, when you get up in the morning, you're not running on carbohydrates. Your body has been running these hours of the night, most of the hours of the night that you've been asleep. It hasn't been running on what you ate. It already burned through that. It's been running on your fat. Um, Now, when you get up in the morning and you take a cold shower, like our example, and for those of you that don't like cold showers, I understand it's something you can work into. You don't have to do it all at once, but I do suggest getting into the habit. Go ahead and we want to realize that that's going to let you burn even more fats. You burn even more fats off, and you it's something that you want to look into and take advantage of it. If cold weather burns more calories, that means that your exercises will also be more effective. Remember to make sure you've hydrated, that you're getting enough of that water so that your blood gets nice and movable. It's not as thick as it could be, and so on and so forth. You want your blood pH to be also regulated, and that's going to be helpful with your, that'll help when we're talking about your general health as well as your body's ability to exercise. And you burn off that fat. And this is a trick you can use even out of the cold weather, is to not eat before you go exercise. Do a little bit of exercising before you eat. Um, but in general, you want to you can use this cold weather to improve the effectiveness of your fat burning when you're doing your exercises. So don't be afraid to exercise in the cold weather. If you if you're having trouble getting motivated, it's understandable to move inside. But in general, if you've got a system set up, like maybe you run so often, every day you run this amount, or every other day you walk this much, then keep doing that. Barring very inclement weather, stick with your program. It can be hard, it can be difficult, but do it anyway, because it's going to benefit you in the long run, especially if you treat your body like it wants to be treated, like a body that can adapt, that can grow stronger and get better. Your body's going to want those things. It wants to be treated like an actual physical body. It doesn't want to be babied. Your body doesn't understand. We tend to think that we have to watch over our body like it's not going to be able to handle this or that. But your body can handle a lot. You just have to get used to it. It's that comfort range that we talked about before when we were talking about cold. Well, if you increase your comfort range, or at least your tolerance range, to both higher and lower temperatures than you have now, your body will be able to function more optimally at any of those temperatures, not just at the ones you like, but any of those temperatures become functionable. Your body needs less adjustment. It needs um, less practice, less warm-up time. It gets better at dealing with those temperatures, and it makes your immune system stronger. That's been shown too in studies. Okay, let's move on to the next point. They say cold weather brings us closer. This is a thing that this is one of those Huff things, because it talks about oh, we're tucked in under the covers and stuff like that when it's cold, but we do end up talking and calling, and we feel, because we feel more isolated when it's colder. It's not actually We're not actually more isolated, but it feels that way. We tend to reach out more, and this is more of a psychological thing than it is anything else. So this is not going to work for everybody. Everybody is not going to see this benefit, but you may end up chatting a bit longer than usual or stuff like that on the phone. But in general, I'm going to say this is definitely too subjective to mark down as an actual benefit, in my opinion. You may disagree with me, but that's my opinion. Okay. Cold weather is less hospitable for disease carrying bugs. I'm not sure how this is a health benefit for us, but it's true, it does, and it is less hospitable. Perhaps the everybody's still scared about some kind of West Nile or something like that, or Zika or whatever. Just slap a name on the newest thing they're saying to worry about, and that may be what they're talking about. They do mention West Nile, so that's normal. That's again, that's not a benefit for our body specifically. As someone who does not really attract those type of bugs, um, I get less benefit out of this, but my daughter gets more because uh, she gets visits from those type of pests quite a bit. So it is beneficial for us in that it does help regulate the bug population, which is good, which is something we need. I also think that that's not really a benefit for us. So I put it under that whole that's not really a benefit for you. That's just how nature works type thing. The same thing with the next one. Well, not the same thing with the next one. This is more of a psychological benefit. Cold weather brings greater appreciation of brighter days, and indeed it does. It's not just that uh, that snowy weather does. This is actually true. It's not necessarily that snowy weather actually gets you a more appreciation for brighter days, but winter itself, the whole season, gives you a bigger appreciation for brighter days. And this is a psychological thing that can really benefit us. It doesn't necessarily make you happy that the day is brighter, but you do appreciate the sun more. And this can, if you use this, it can be a benefit for you. If you understand how your body's working and how it psychologically responds, then you can use this to your advantage. You can really celebrate. If you feel like you've got SAD, seasonally affective disorder, then you really need to celebrate and enjoy and get out into that sunlight and those sunny days and brighter days, not necessarily sunny, brighter days, anytime you can in the wintertime, because it will help you. It helps. That is my opinion, of course. FDA don't bother me, but that is my opinion. The next thing they mention is cold weather can reduce inflammation. This is true. This is why ice works on athletic sprains. This is why you put ice on athletic sprains and things like that, because it constricts. Cold constricts. So it is definitely something that you can use, especially if you do get injured. You can use that to help you out. It is something that you want to kind of be aware of, that this is not going to solve a problem, mind you. This isn't going to solve a problem. All this is going to do is help you with the pain mainly. Cryotherapy is what cold therapy is called, basically. And it is well documented, well studied, and you can use the cold weather as a kind of therapy because you don't want to have cold on all the time. So you want to have cold, then heat. You always want to alternate. Um, or you don't necessarily, since we usually keep our houses warm, you don't necessarily have to alternate heat. But if you've got, say, a low backache or something like that, you can take a walk out. If you can, walking with it, you can take a walk outside in the cold and then come back into the house. And as your body warms up, you'll realize that those muscles that were constricted, they hadn't constricted anymore. They were already constricted. Those constricted muscles start to relax again in the warm weather, in the warm temperature of the house. And that can be beneficial. That's just an example of using it at home. Um, so it's going to be something that you can figure out for yourself on how you want to use. Some people can't really tolerate cold that well. Again, that's something that your body wants to deal with, but if you're not letting it, it won't. But I would definitely say that that is a benefit for us. That is a actual body benefit. So cold weather may boost your body image. I don't buy this one. Sorry. Sorry, Huff. Sorry, Mr. Post. They mentioned bikini body and it may motivate you to do that. Oh, sorry. Sorry. That I think they just throw that in there for people concerned about body image. That really doesn't help you with your cold weather does not boost your body image. Sorry. Does not actually boost your body image. Not that I have found. Perhaps I can be proven wrong with an accurate study or something like that. But I haven't seen it thus far. And if you find something, you can always send it to me. All right. That's everything that we have for today. And I appreciate everyone's attention. I'm glad that you guys, that we got to have this little time together to do our normal State of the Association address. I did like that we actually got to get back in this habit fairly quickly. That was good. I appreciate being able to do that because sometimes it's hard to start those back up. So I appreciate everyone's attention. Glad to see you guys. Keep up the things that you have set for yourself. And remember that wintertime does not necessarily mean that it's time to feel bad. So I will let you guys get back to what you were doing. As always, have a great day. God bless and enjoy.